If you guys want the fastest way to improve your aim, get some Control Freaks for cheap. Use code Goblin for 10% off and improve your aim today. Link in the description. Yo, what is up guys? It's the Goblin and welcome back to another Call of Duty World War II video. Now in today's video, we are going to be talking about the Sten SMG, which of course is pretty much the most hyped DLC weapon or weapon that we've got post-release of this game. Basically, I made a video yesterday talking about the PPSH. I played live with it and I said the PPSH is still the best SMG in this game because that's mostly what all the professional players are using. That's still what I have the most kills with, and I still think that gun is insanely good. A lot of different variants are usable on it, and that gun just has great stats overall. But a lot of people in my comment section, to my surprise, were talking about the Sten and how great the Sten was. Now, the Sten in my weapon, in my opinion, not in my weapon, is a gun that was sort of forgot about a little bit after, you know, the Winter Siege event and all that sort of stuff. So I hopped on today, played a game with it, and in this game, my first half is, you know, whatever. The second half, I really start to go off and see the strength of this gun. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Talk about the Sten, give a class setup, and just talk about the SMGs overall. If you guys could drop a like on this video, I'd appreciate that. Let's go ahead and let's try to knock out 48 likes. That would be awesome if we could hit that. Of course, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new as well. And let's talk about it. So, in the comment section of my video yesterday, a lot of people agree that the PPSH was their favorite SMG or the best SMG in their opinion. And of course, there's always going to be a difference between the best and statistically, which pretty much is the PPSH because all pro players use the best statistically, and weapons which are people's personal favorites. Of course, if you like up close combat, the Thompson's going to be your favorite. If you like, you know, the iron sights of different weapons, you're going to prefer those. Maybe you have the best variant for the Sten, but you have no variant for the PPSH, so that's why it would be your favorite. I definitely think the Sten is a great weapon. After playing with it today, I realized this thing is pretty underrated. I'm sure a lot of people knew, but I didn't really know how strong this gun is. And in my opinion, what this gun is it's very similar to a Type 100, but the trade-off that you get is that I think the iron sights on this gun are pretty bad. And now if you have the heroic Sten, you are very, very lucky, because if I had that, I would probably use this gun a lot more. And I can see why if you have that variant, you think this is the best gun in the game. Even if you don't, this gun is really good. Now, the trade-off is I think it kills a lot faster than the Type 100. Now, statistically, this gun has very similar statistics to the MP40, which is a pretty strong statistical gun. Of course, most of the SMGs, it's really an SMG meta right now in World War II. Basically, when this game first came out, assault rifles were at the top of the totem pole. Everyone was using them, and then they went down the list and really nerfed all the ARs, and there's more nerfs coming early this week, so probably, you know, could come out tomorrow or something like that, this new update, which is going to be a lot of nerfs and buffs for different weapons, and probably some more nerfs to certain assault rifles, or maybe some buffs even, because they sort of over-nerfed certain ones like the FG42, but it's really an SMG meta right now. Now, the Sten, the trade-off is, I think it kills faster than a Type 100. One issue with the Type 100 is that gun has no recoil. However, it really doesn't kill that fast. It is a hit marker machine sometimes. Sometimes it can melt people, and from a distance it can melt them, especially if you have advanced rifling on it, but it definitely is sort of a struggle one to use at more of a closer range. But the Sten has a worse iron sight in my opinion, because the sights, I don't like that thing that goes over top of it, but it is a faster killing one, and that's sort of your trade-offs that you get. The look, of course, is very similar to the Type 100. The Sten, we have seen it in Call of Duty games before. So this weapon, I think, definitely has a spot to be very good, and definitely is a top SMG in this game. Now, the class step that I like to rock with this gun, the beautiful thing about the Sten and a lot of other SMGs is you don't need to run grip on them. This gameplay is without grip. There's essentially no recoil on this gun, unless maybe you're holding the trigger down for literally the whole clip. I have, of course, extended mags, which gives you that big fat thing on the side of your screen, which can be sort of annoying, but you have 48 bullets and has a decently fast fire rate. Now, as far as what I like to run for my my basic training, I like to run Hunker with the airborne. I just find that is the best combo. As of right now, the grenades are so strong in this game, and Hunker is one that pretty much counters grenades overall. You're not going to be dying to grenades unless you're really like right on top of it. Of course, they can double grenade you, or they could grenade you or hit you with one bullet, or if you've already been hit with a bullet and then grenade, you're going to die still. But I find that if you want to play the objective at all, especially on some of these smaller maps, Flak Tower, and mainly Flak Tower and Point du Hoc, you have to run Hunker, or you're going to get an extra 5 to 10 deaths every single game. That's just the fact of how it goes, and that's why I would put it as the #1 most valuable basic training. Now, maybe that will change with patch updates, but that's where it's at right now. as far as the attachments for this weapon, the beauty of this gun is you don't need grip because you don't really have to worry about that. I slap on the extended mags, which puts me at 48 bullets. You have 32 traditionally, which is kind of nice. I mean, most of them have 30, so you get 2 extra. But then that 48 you have with extended mags makes this gun a very, it's sort of needed because the fire rate in this gun is very quick. So 48, you think, oh, I'm never going to have to reload. You do run through it fairly quickly, especially if you're spraying, which you should be spraying with an SMG. It's not all about accuracy with SMGs. You know, spraying is one of the ways to do it. And as far as my other attachment, what I like to run with that is I like to run either the quick draw or the advanced rifling based on the map and situation. So on a smaller map like Flak Tower, I'll definitely slap on with the quick draw just for the fact that, of course, the sprint out times are low. But if the thing with this game and with the sprint out times is there are ways to manipulate around it. Now, every time when you're sprinting in this game, you can usually, after every life, you get one big, long first sprint. And then after that, if you're continuing sprinting, it's sort of a small sprint, then your gun's up. A small sprint, then your gun's up. So in order to minimize this sprint out time and to maximize the use of quick draw, you want to be finishing those sprints as you're coming up to areas where you see enemies. Now, of course, you can't do this every single time. This is kind of an advanced tip, but that's why quick draw is still useful if you do play like that, because you can sort of have your gun up and then boom, quick draw, aim down sights. If you can time that 1-2 punch perfectly, you're very effective, and it is a way to use quick draw to the maximum. The thing is, with this gun, you don't really need any other attachment, so why not slap on quick draw or advanced rifling, which I definitely think is very underrated on assault rifle or on SMGs. On assault rifles, advanced rifling is still good, but those guns already have such a long range, and that's what I run for as far as my class setup for this Sten. Now let's talk about the Sten overall. Where do I think it ranks as far as SMGs? I would honestly, this gun is one that I honestly forgot about, and not forgot about, but I didn't use it as much as I should have been. I would say it probably is a top 3, top 4 SMG. I'm not changing up that the top one is the PPSH, because just overall how the PPSH works, you close range, you melt people, mid range, you should have no problem. And the amount of variance on the PPSH is another thing that makes the gun so great, because if you don't like the default sights, you can run with the Thrive. You don't like the Thrive sights, you can run with the Snake 2. There's multiple different options on that PPSH, even the Duck Soup. There's basically 4 pretty much completely different iron sights. Now, not completely different, but very different iron sights. When with some of these other variants, or other guns, like the Type 100, there's like a couple, but they're only slight changes. The MP40, there's like 2 different ones. It all depends. So I'm sticking with the PPSH as far as SMGs as the number 1 overall. Up close, you got to go with the M1928 or the Thompson. The thing is just so unbelievably deadly. But then after those 2, it really is up to preference. And I can see you putting the Sten in that 3rd position. I could also see people putting the Type 100 in that 3rd position, or even the MP40. So my question for you guys is, what do you guys think is that 3rd best SMG? Of course, you guys might disagree with me on those first 2. I think most people will agree, because those guns are just traditionally so, I mean, the Thompson, the M1928 wasn't that good. But after the buff to the fire rate, it became an absolute monster. And one that I think is underrated is that the MP40, after the fire rate buff, it's a great gun, but there's just so many good SMGs right now, and that's why I'm interested for this patch update, which should come out maybe tomorrow, at least in these next couple of days, because it's going to flip the meta around. And of course, I think this is going to be a big one. They've been talking about changes for the past 2 weeks on what they're going to be doing. It looks like they're going to be touching the snipers, the shotguns, the M1 Garand, the FG42, and the STG44. It looks like they're touching at least 5 things right there, as well as possibly some other things they've hinted at. It's going to be very interesting, and I think it's going to completely switch everything. So, of course, I'm going to make some, talk about everything differently after this patch update. I'm going to probably have to make a top 5 guns video and maybe go over the top 3 rifles or something differently, because this will shift the meta and shift the game, which I definitely think is interesting, because if a Call of Duty game, if guns aren't buffed and nerfed at a, good intervals, it can get sort of stale. It is really cool seeing guns that were bad when the game first came out now are really good guns, and guns that were great when the game first came out, example the FG42, now is still a good gun if you have the right class setup on. Of course, I stress rapid fire on that one, but it's very interesting to see how things go from good to bad, from good to bad. And I think the game that first started with the majority of that was Black Ops 3. The amount of patch updates that Black Ops 3 did was beyond any level of previous COD games. I think IW kept up with that tradition, and World War II. I think ever since the supply drop system came out, because there's so many more guns and stuff like that, they have to be more active with these patch updates. That's just my opinion. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. Definitely give the Sten a go, man. And if you don't have the Sten, special orders are still available even after this Winter Siege event through Major Howard, who was in the cave. Of course, it cycles around. It could be the Gewer 43, it could be the Ice Pick, but I think they are still doing the Sten one, so you still have a chance to get it through that if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, guys. Drop a like on this video. I'd really appreciate that. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Sub for a cookie and don't looky, and I'm out. Peace.